Excited about this week. Obviously, we've got a tremendous opponent coming to town. I think in one poll they're 8, the other poll they're 10. So obviously, we know we have our hands full. Extremely well coached. Coach Fickle does a great job. If you look at them offensively, they do a great job with personnel. They use a lot of different tight ends. They're going to give you spread stuff. They're going to use that personnel in their spread things. And they're huge up front. Their running backs are all big, strong, physical guys, do a good job catching the ball out of the backfield. And then their quarterback, he's just athletic. He extends plays. He's got a really, really good arm. He's been pretty accurate all season long. We've got to do a good job of limiting those explosive plays from them and make them earn yards, get them in those third down and long situations where hopefully we can dial up some things and get a little bit of pressure here and there. And then when you look at them defensively, I mean, they've got a ton of guys back. They're big up front. They've changed a little bit from their even look that they were pretty much in the first year and a half, against us. They went to an odd look, and then they've kind of stayed with that, and they kind of go back and forth in and out of it. But I think really now I feel like their base is more out of the odd looks. So they do a good job with pressure with that. They're moving those backers around. They got very talented secondary guys that are all back. And so we know we got our hands full, but we are excited to get out on the field and get an opportunity to play again. With it being homecoming week, obviously a lot of more things are kind of going into that. But homecoming will be a little bit different, obviously, with the virus. But we're excited about people being able to come back and really reconnect and be a part of our program and our university.
Is it bizarre that it's the middle of October and this is your home opener?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it is bizarre. It's just crazy when you think about it. And then it's even more crazy, like you're in the middle of October and it's only our third game. And then when you add to that, it's the middle of October and this is the first time we've gotten a chance to play at home. So all of that is just crazy when you really sit back and think about it, yet that's the 2020 season. That kind of wraps it up in a bow for you.
I'm going to guess TU's never had a top 10 team on homecoming, and like Nathan alluded to, first home game in 328 days. And it sure seems like you guys are about on equal footing probably with Cincinnati, just, going off the body of work so far. So how exciting is this week, you think, for your guys to be on this stage and have this opportunity?
Yeah, I think our guys are just ready to get back on the field. I mean, we've had so many different stops for whatever reason, some of it being scheduling and others. But, I think they're excited to get back on the field, obviously trying to use some of the momentum from our last game and apply that to this week. But, this is a totally different team. We know that we're going to have to play extremely well versus them. Their defense has created a ton of turnovers. I think they had 5 picks versus South Florida. And, they're doing some things that kind of make you sit back and look at it. So, for us, we've got to be precise in what we're doing. We got to take advantage of opportunities when we get them. And then we've got to play loose and we got to play free.
Is it going to be more possible to generate momentum now when you have games every week instead of weeks in between?
Well, I hope so, Gilly. I mean, and there's just no guarantee of all that, right, with the virus. So, you look at Baylor, Oklahoma State, and the way that went down. So, yeah, we're hoping to be able to generate some of that and get in a little bit more of a normal routine, a normal schedule, if you will. We've got a big push right here, and our schedule is tough top to bottom, but it's really tough right here early part of it. And so we've really got to do a good job of being locked in, being assignment sound, and then, being explosive when we have a chance offensively and defensively. Got to continue to keep providing the type of pressure that they have all year.
You think getting into a routine might help maybe get off to a better start? I mean, you guys have been finishing games strong, and it's how you finish, obviously. But the first quarters for the first 2 games, it seemed, I guess, a flat for your team. What's gone into that? Do you think being at home maybe can kind of help you guys kind of get off to a better start this time?
Yeah, I mean, we're working extremely hard on it. And obviously you got to come up and you just got to, for us, you got to find ways to stay on the field. And when you get in those third down situations, you got to find ways to stay on. And that's, I think, how you generate momentum and how you generate some opportunities there. And so, obviously we want to get off to a better start than what we have been. That being said, still got to finish everything. And for us, a lot of it, I think, is about confidence. And I think our guys are playing with a lot more confidence right now. We got to continue to keep that up.
You mentioned how the offense will need some big plays. I'll let whoever was talking there go.
Coach, how beneficial is it for your team to have already played two pretty highly ranked and respected teams going into this?
Well, I think it helps from the standpoint you're not looking at this game because they are number 8 or number 10 any differently than we've approached the last ones. And we felt like, obviously, taking nothing away from Oklahoma State, we had our opportunities in that game to pull that game out. I thought we played, it's really, really well defensively. Offensively, we needed to get some things going. And then, last week we hit, or a week and a half ago, I guess now, we hit the number 11 team again and found a way to win. So from that standpoint, I don't think, your eyes are not bright and open just because you're playing the number 8 or number 10. We've been playing top 10 teams already. So we feel like this is our next game and our next opportunity to step on the field and continue to keep proving who we're going to be.
That being said, are you tired of looking at your schedule and seeing those small numbers in front of the team name you're playing, or do you like the challenge?
I think our guys like the challenge of it. Obviously it's difficult, when you keep seeing numbers in front of teams' names. But, that being said, you get into this, you love the competitive part of that, right? The opportunity to continue to keep growing and getting better as a team, but also the competitive part of, hey, this is a big time team coming in. They're playing extremely well. How talented they are on the other side. And so for us, it's about, again, just trying to earn some respect as we continue to work our way through it.
Coach, you don't shy away from the non-conference schedule. It seems like Oklahoma State and whatnot. What can you say about what you took away from that game and defensively what you were able to bring forward? And then obviously coming off of the win against UCF in and out of the conference, Tulsa doesn't shy away from the competition, and that's got to obviously make this team a little bit better, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. Hey, Dan, how are you? Good to see
I'm
you.
doing well.
Good to see you well. I think, our schedule, we've always scheduled tough games. That's been part of us and our program. I think our guys enjoy continuing to raise the level of competition that you're going against every week. That being said, our conference from top to bottom, I think, is extremely difficult. And so you're playing that game back and forth of, what conference games are going to be about. There are battles every week. When you start playing very tough non-conference games, it puts a lot of pressure on you as a program. And so I think our guys understand what we do and how we do it. I think it helps us. I think our defense, obviously, there were some question marks probably coming into the season, having to replace Travis, having to replace Reggie, having to replace Cooper and several others. Those guys going out and doing what they did the first week just gave them a ton of confidence. And, they're playing with that right now. We've got to continue to do that and create turnovers and get people behind the sticks. And I think that's been a huge lift for us defensively after game one.
And you talked about – I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead and follow.
No, I was just going to say, you've talked about, rankings and playing against teams that are in the, top 10, top 11 and whatnot. For the rankings this year, it's been kind of interesting that UCF was 11 and then they lose to you. They get dropped out of the top 25. And we see teams that aren't even playing football that are not only in the rankings but rising in them. How strange is that as a coach to see the top 25 have teams moving up the rankings that aren't even playing, and then having American Athletic drop out of it when they lose to a good team, in my opinion, of Tulsa?
Yeah, I don't really understand how Central Florida drops all the way out after being number 11. And I'm going to base that on our body of work versus Oklahoma State, who is now, I don't know what they are. What are they, 6, 4, 6? All right, so they're 6th. To be real honest, Dan, I feel like that's a little bit of a slap at us, saying they lost to us instead of, seeing us for the team that I hope that we are right now. And in my opinion, Central Florida still should be in the top 25. And teams that haven't played games at this point, let's wait until they play a game and base what you get off of the results they get in those games. I've never been a huge fan of the early ranking parts of it because you just don't know what teams are going to be about until you get a couple of games underneath your belt. So they didn't ask my opinion though, but that would be my opinion.
Thank you.
Coach, Zach had a rough day against Cincinnati last year. I think it was 5 turnovers. He's had it hasn't completely cleaned that up, but I think it's been 7 turnovers in the 7 games since. So it's been much, much better. Thinking back to where he was at that time in your offense last year versus now, maybe compare those two things and then also speak to, just how difficult this Cincinnati defense can make life for a quarterback.
Yeah, they're very difficult. And that being said, yeah, we had some turnovers in that game for sure. If you go back, and I've watched it a ton, obviously now, right? He did some really good things in that game too. Made some big time throws. The thing that we've got to do a better job of is he took way too many hits in that game. I mean, he really got beat up. And this is always going to be a very physical game. I think both programs pride themselves on being physical. Last year it was that way. I expect the same thing again this year. For Zach himself, again, I think we have to do a good job of finding the balance in the run game and the passing game and giving him time to stand there and be able to go through his progressions and be accurate with the football. So, they're going to play a lot of man coverage. We understand that. We got to do a good job of getting off of that and then giving him time to give those receivers an opportunity to get some separation and him to be accurate. When we do those things, I think we can be pretty potent offensively, but we got to put those things together for sure. All right.
Anything else for Coach? I do have a question. Talk a little bit about your running backs. Obviously, with you losing Shamari, that hurt. But your running backs seem to be stepping up. Just talk a little bit about each one of them and how they're doing.
Yeah, losing Shamari was a big hit for us because honestly, with him, he was looking as good as I've ever seen him. I mean, as far as in shape, developing his game, continuing to develop his craft. I thought he was really fixing to have a tremendous year. So losing Shamari is big. That being said, the other guys have really picked up the slack and continued to really perform in a way that has allowed us to be pretty balanced in what we're doing. Corey has played extremely well. TK has really upped his game, and I think has taken it to another level. I thought the other night, he was punishing in the style of running that he was doing, but he was getting outside at times and being able to do both, and so it was really good to see that. Deneric has really added a factor to us as well. Again, I think those 3 guys with the kind of 1, 2, 3 type of punch, they all bring different things to the table. Corey being really dense downhill, can get outside, but is difficult to tackle. TK is just big and can run. And then Deneric adds another gear to that, I believe, and really allowing us to kind of mix some things up. And I can't put enough emphasis on the style of running that they're doing. They all want the football, but they're unselfish about it. They're running downhill. They're being physical. And that's what we're looking for. Coach Hill has done a great job with those guys. Our offensive line is continuing to gel and get better and starting to open up some things for them. And those guys are trying to take advantage of it. So it'll be vitally important for those 3 guys to continue to play well for us this week.
Okay.
Coach, Cincinnati presents two obstacles on offense with Desmond and then Doak in the backfield. I think Desmond's getting about 5 yards a carry, but then obviously can hand it off to Doak as well. And I think he had 100 yards against South Florida. How do you stop that?
Well, I mean, you got to be assignment sound in what you're doing. You got to have eyes in the right spot, but they're huge up front. I mean, I think every one of them are like 6'4" or better, over 300 pounds. They do a good job. They got all those tight ends that they're using in different ways, trying to create some angles and do some things to you. And then, again, Doak is just special. I mean, he's, 6 foot, like 230, something like that, but he's got a great gear. He can get in and out of cuts. He's running downhill. He's catching the ball extremely well. So he's a force to be reckoned with. I think he's one of the top backs in the conference, and you've got to do a good job of getting to him before he gets started. You let him get rolling, and, he can create some havoc on you.
Philip, when you brought in Jackson and Tairis on that touchdown that TK scored, obviously that worked out pretty well. Is this something that you guys may use from time to time?
Yeah, I mean, you never know. I mean, we're going to continue to keep mixing some things up, trying to get some different looks down there in those short yardage and red zone areas. We just felt like it was a good change up for us, last week and felt like we had an advantage by doing it. These guys are really, really difficult when you get down into the red zone, especially inside the 5. So we'll keep playing around with a few things and see if we can come up with some answers on it. But it was nice to have that in our pocket to be able to use the other night.
Coach, Cincinnati is 25-5 in their last 30 games. And, they've played good ball there, going back quite a while, or certainly been capable of it. People across the country who pay attention to college football think this is going to be a good game, and the line on the game. I'm sure you don't concern yourself with that sort of thing, but it's close. And so there are a lot of people who think, you absolutely deserve to be on the field with a team that's ranked number 8 and, the pedigree of Cincinnati. So when you came into this program, they weren't ready to compete in the American like that. And even though in 16 you had a team, because you had some key guys in the right positions, especially at quarterback, you had a great year and could have maybe won that year, but it's been a climb to get to this point and this sort of moment. Can you talk about what's gone into that? I know, there have been close losses that have kept, it's made it look like you guys weren't making up some of the ground you have, but maybe talk about how you guys have gone about getting to this point.
Yeah, and Caden, I think you're right. I mean, the American Conference, every year that we've been in it, has continued to grow. And the level of competition and the type of athletes that are on the field, you go back and see the guys that have been drafted out of our conference, the guys that are playing in the league right now, and no matter where they got drafted in that ranking, but they're being productive in the NFL. And so what it has done to us is we've had to do a really good job of not only trying to really, from a recruiting standpoint, target guys that we know that can play in this league. And then when you get them here, really pushing that development aspect of it, right? And our coaches have done a really good job of that. EA and his staff have done a really good job of that. And we're continuing to build. And like you said, it's very easy to look back and look at the record and say, they just haven't been growing. But if you really paid attention to the amount of close games and the opportunities that we've had that we, again, need to do better at, we're continuing to grow as a program. We're continuing to build as a program. And I think now you're starting to see some of those young guys that have had to play, that have had to start, that are continuing to develop, that are continuing to try to raise the bar. Those guys are now at a level where we feel like we can step on the field and we can play with a lot of people. Now we got to go execute and we got to play clean and we got to not hurt ourselves. There's lots of things that go into that. But I think when it comes to just talking about the guys on the field and what they feel and being able to match up with some of these really, really explosive teams in our conference, I think we are much closer to that now than we've ever been.
Coach, going off of what you just said there, being in a lot of these games in and out of conference, but not closing it out at the end, what can you say about closing the gap and some of those pieces that maybe are coming together that you're seeing that the record didn't adequately show the last couple of years, but points you're starting to get to, maybe even looking back at the UCF game and seeing some of those elements that weren't there before happening now so that you can close out these games against teams that are ranked in the top 25 and obviously strong inside of the conference?
I think more than anything, it's about going out in the field and getting it done. And, that comes with confidence and momentum and guys just locked in and not knowing, you don't know when that play is going to be. The drive before half was such a crucial drive for us in that game. And that kind of opened the doors to kind of what happened in the second half. It's not always going to be on that last drive or the last play. And so for us, it's about recognizing opportunities to go make big plays. And when we have them, we got to secure that. And I think, as a team, we understand that it does take all three phases. The other, last week or week and a half, whatever, in the Central Florida game, it was all three-phase win for us. Every phase contributed. Every phase was an important part of it, and guys just stepping up and making plays when they had opportunity.
Coach, you mentioned that when UCF lost to you guys and dropped out of the top 25 was kind of a slap in the face to Tulsa. You thought, for you personally or for the team, does that aggravate you? Does it motivate you when you see that?
Again, we kind of go back to what we've been saying from the start. Let's control the things we can control. And for us, that was a great win, but we've moved on. We've got a huge opponent. Pardon me. We have a huge opponent in front of us, and all of our focus has to be on that. At the end of the day, we'll sit back and let all those other people make their decisions. But for us, let's control what we can control, and that's going to be Cincinnati in front of us. And we got a great opportunity to go out and, be very, very determined, very competitive, and obviously trying to find a way to get a big win here at home.
All right, y'all, we have nose guard Tairis Stevenson, Big Cat. And I think he's unmuted now, so we'll open it up for questions.
Prefer Tairis or Big Cat?
It doesn't matter. I mean,
First,
call me Big Cat, so I'll just go with that.
How long have they called you that?
I actually got it from my Little League coach when I was about 6 years old, and it kind of stuck ever since then. So he called me Big Cat, and then it went on to, middle school, high school, and then college, and then it just stuck.
That's awesome, man. A long time to be running with the same nickname. That's good. First home game in 328 days. You guys pretty excited about finally getting to play at Chapman Stadium?
Yes, sir.
Maybe speak to just how big a week this is. I mean, it's not every year a conference opponent is in the top 10 and TU gets to play them at home. How much are you guys looking forward to this opportunity?
We're looking forward to the opportunity to play them because, we attack it just like any other team. Ranking doesn't mean anything to us because we go out and just play. Our coach always tell us, don't worry about what the crowd has to think, what going on social media, just go out and do what we do, and we just leave it at that.
Tairis, what was that like to be on the field with the offense for TK's touchdown? How cool is that?
It was pretty cool. Me and Jackson Player, we kind of thought about it maybe a week prior, and we talked to Coach Montgomery about putting it in. So after practice, we bugged him every day about it, and he was like, "Okay, we're gonna see what we're gonna do." Big Cat and Jackson just hold off, and then one day we was at practice. He called us over, and after that, we knew once we put it in, we told him if we're gonna score it, so you don't have to worry about anything.
So you guys take credit for that idea.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Did you expect to be successful when you started lobbying?
Yeah, I definitely expected to be successful in running it. There's a certain thing we do I guess it's depending on the hash we're on. And we're trying to fit something else in, but we're not going to get to that right now. But we know every time me and Jackson got in our head, we're going to score. So.
What about when you started bugging Coach Monty about it? Did you actually think he'd give in?
Me and Jackson, like I said, we thought of it, and then once we kind of talked to him at first, it kind of seemed as if he was skeptical about it, but then he saw that we were actually serious about it, and I guess he made the decision to put us in and go score.
How much do you and Jackson push each other on defense? What is y'all's dynamic like? It seems like you get along pretty well. How has that worked with you two guys, and how has it worked with the defense?
Me and Jackson, we push each other a lot on the field, off the field. We hang out a lot. We're always talking about things we can do better. He coaches me up. I coach him up. Me being a veteran, being here longer than him, but I look at him like a little brother, and I always look to encourage him any way I can, and also the young ones, even besides him. But it's just me, Jackson. We got this type of bond that's like it's sort of a brotherhood thing in the defensive line group, and that's really much I can say. But I gave him as a little brother.
You guys' first three opponents are now number 11, and number 8. As a player, do you like taking on teams like that, or would you like a little bit of a break?
It really doesn't matter. I mean, like I said before, we always just attack any team like any other team. Ranking doesn't mean anything to us because, I remember last year playing OSU, being up at halftime, that said something then, and, it can say something now. So the ranking really doesn't matter to us as a team. We just attack it like we attack every other team.
Is it weird that we're going to be in the middle of October and this is your first home game of the season?
I kind of find it weird because, we had games and then bye weeks, and, Coach always, let us have like a scrimmage or something to keep our bodies in in the season, the season type feel. So it is kind of weird not having games on some of those weeks. But, Coach keeps us acclimated to it, so we're pretty good with it.
Does it make you kind of look forward to it more because it's so long coming?
Yeah, yes, sir. I believe so.
Tairis, you and Jackson have switched off a lot, obviously, at nose guard, but now Jackson's playing a little bit at end, so you're on the field at the same time. What's that like, and how's that affect the defense?
Pretty cool because Jackson, he's pretty fast, and I've been seeing a lot of things on social media saying how me and Jackson are two different nose tackles, and it plays well into the defense. I'm usually taking on double team or triple team, and there's certain schemes that Jackson has to do, and by him being quick, he can get into the backfield pretty fast. And if I'm taking on 2 and 3 guys, I can get, in the backfield, but I'm also looking out for everybody else, linebacker-wise, so they can come through and make plays. And anything it takes to help the defense win, we'll win.
So it sounds like you take pride in that. Got to be kind of selfless, I would think, to welcome double teams, but you take pride in doing that?
Yes, sir. I kind of look after a few of the greats in the league right now, and I kind of mimic their game, but you got to be a selfless person to be able to do some things like that, and I believe that's the type of person that I am. Anything it takes to win, I'm in with it.
Who are some of those guys in the league that you pattern your game after?
I really look more into Damon Harrison. I call him Snacks. So I kind of look into him and how his style of play is, and I kind of mimic it after that. But, NFL fronts have many different schemes, so I kind of have to put it into the scheme that we run, and most of the time it's successful. If Zaven or any other linebackers come through free, then I know I did my job. I also can make plays, but, if my coach always tells me sometimes the play is made for you and sometimes not. So
What's the better nickname, Snacks or Big Cat?
I think Big Cat.
All right, questions for James.
James, obviously you guys, the first 3 games of your season have been against really tough competition with 11, 11, and 8. As a player, do you like those challenges, or would you rather ease into the season a little more?
No, yeah, we love the challenge. We prepare to play anybody in the country at any time, and our coaches push us to be the best team in the country week by week. So it doesn't matter who the competition is against, what opposition that we face. We're prepared to get after it against anybody they put on our schedule.
You think at this, obviously beating UCF was a big deal for you guys. This is another chance for you guys to prove something about this program and how you've improved over the years?
Right, yeah, I think it is. I think that it's really just a testament to the hard work that we put in week by week to be able to face those teams and to continue to prove that we are a very competitive and good football team. And we're going to continue to do that week by week to continue to earn that respect. So, yeah.
Have you seen the confidence of this team grow with the first couple of results?
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely. You can see it. You can see it buzzing through the locker room and on the field. Guys that are we all knew that we were a good team regardless. And, that's just kind of how Division IV football is. There's so many athletes and so much talent on the field. So that's just kind of an aspect that you bring to the game is confidence. But when you see it being exemplified on the field in tough matchups and in different situations through opposition, seeing that being represented, it starts to build confidence as a unit. And I think that we're starting to see that, and it's starting to really show in all aspects of the game.
I don't know if you know this or not, but if you guys beat Cincinnati on Saturday, it would be the first time a TU team has ever beaten 2 top 25 teams in the same year. There's that. There's the fact that it would put you to 2-0 with 2 really good wins in the league and kind of in the driver's seat for conference championship. There's the fact that it would be at home, where I don't know when TU would have last beaten a top 10. Of all that sort of stuff, is there anything that gets you most excited, with regard to, if you guys were to pull it off on Saturday?
I'm excited to play football on a Saturday. That makes me excited no matter what the situation is, no matter if we were to play a Pee Wee football team or play Cincinnati. We're excited to play football. And regardless of all the extra things that come with it, we want to get a dub no matter what the situation is, and that's what we're excited to do. So.
James, your position is kind of a hybrid, H-back, tight end. Can you describe what are all the various things you have to understand and know to be a good H-back and to play your position?
Right. Well, you got to know a lot of stuff. You got to know the pass game. You got to know the run game. We've got to be – our position is a very selfless position. So it really, week by week, it kind of depends on who we're playing based on what the tight end can do. And we add a very vital piece to our offense to be able to kind of psych out defenses. So you might think that we're blocking and we might, break off for a pass. You might think that we're running a route, but we're really blocking. So, yeah, you've got to be kind of tuned into all assets of the offense. That's just kind of how our play calling is wired. It's very intricate and very it's very fun to run. I love playing tight end, and we've got to be very tuned into all aspects of the game in order to run and play it well.
And then every once in a while you get to catch a pass. So how exciting – you don't get a whole lot of opportunities to catch passes, but how exciting is that? And you look forward to that along with the blocking and the other things you do?
For sure. Honestly, I always want to contribute to the team and however it needs fit. And it doesn't really matter. I take pride in blocking to see TK and CT and Deneric and some of those guys run past me and score just as much as I would catching a touchdown. So yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, it's exciting to catch the ball, but we love to do our job and we love to contribute to wins. And however that looks, we're going to do it.
What do you think about playing your first home game of the season on October 17th?
It's different for sure, but 2020 has kind of taught us to adapt, right? So no matter what situation we're put in, whatever trial or tribulation we're put in, we know how to adapt. And that's something that we've seen, or I've seen personally, and I know the other guys have seen, is that this team is really good at adapting to all of those things and being able to put forth the best and most effort possible in order to win. So yeah, it's different, but we expect different. We love different. And when other guys aren't ready for different, we'll show you different. So